You were taught that being a good person is your greatest asset. You were lied to. What the world calls kindness is, more often than not, just cowardice disguised as virtue. Are you kind because you are good, or are you kind because you are afraid to confront reality? Niccolo Machiavelli understood centuries ago something you still refuse to accept. The man who tries to be good in a world surrounded by wolves inevitably ends up being devoured. Common morality is a collar placed around your neck by those who profit from your passivity. While you worry about being just, the cunning worry about being effective. Look at your life. How many times have you been betrayed because you expected gratitude from others? How many times has your silence been interpreted as weakness and not as respect? The world is not a court of justice. It is a battlefield of wills. If you lack the capacity to be dangerous, your peace is not a choice. It is a lack of options. Being harmless doesn't make you a saint. It makes you prey. Machiavelli didn't write for those who seek heaven. He wrote for those who desire sovereignty on earth. He knew that cunning is not the opposite of intelligence, but its most refined and lethal form. I'm not here to offer you comfort or cheap self-help phrases. I'm here to hand you the mirror of reality and the blade of strategy. If you want to stop being a stepping stone to the success of others and start building your own empire, you need to learn to integrate your shadow. From now on, your vision will be clear of illusions. You will understand that true shrewdness begins when you stop acting like the sheep waiting for mercy and start acting like the strategist who anticipates the blow. What I'm about to reveal to you isn't advice, it's a mental weapon, and once you learn how to use it, you'll never be seen the same way again. But beware. There's no turning back from this path. Now I'm going to show you the invisible mechanics that move the backstage of power and how you've been manipulated without even realizing it. The world you see is a shadow play, and you've been merely a passive spectator in the audience. What is really happening around you is not an exchange of pleasantries, but a silent war of perceptions. While you strive to be authentic, the masters of cunning are busy constructing characters. They have understood Machiavelli's primordial lesson. The appearance of virtue is infinitely more useful than virtue itself. Real virtue limits you and makes you predictable. The appearance of virtue gives you the freedom to act in the shadows without being questioned. Most people operate on the surface level. They react to stimuli, seek immediate validation, and deliver their intentions on silver platters through thoughtless words and cheap emotions. The dangerously shrewd man, however, knows that information is the lifeblood of power. He doesn't speak to express himself, he speaks to observe. He uses silence as a tactical vacuum, forcing others to fill the void with their own insecurities, secrets, and flaws. When you talk too much, you become the target. When you listen with intention, you become the archer. You live in a system where vulnerability is sold as a new form of strength, but behind the scenes, it's just a target painted on your chest. The game isn't about who is the most genuine, but about who controls the narrative. Whoever sets the frame sets the picture. If you're not actively shaping how the world perceives you, you're allowing others to write your script. And I guarantee you, the role they've reserved for you is that of a disposable extra in someone else's empire. Now you're starting to see the strings that move the puppets. But simply seeing the game doesn't make you a player. There's a psychological trap that almost everyone falls into. A misjudgment so common that it destroys any chance of mental sovereignty before you even begin to fight. Without understanding this, you remain vulnerable. Now I'm going to show you the mistake that destroys almost everyone, the desperate need to be understood. When someone attacks you, ignores you, or underestimates you, your first instinct is to react. You want to prove your worth, you want to explain your intentions, you want the other person to see that you're right. Machiavelli would laugh at your naivete. The moment you try to explain yourself, you hand over the keys to your mental fortress. Explaining yourself is a form of submission. It's asking permission to exist. It's confessing that the opinions of others have the power to destabilize your inner throne. The average man is reactive by nature. He's like a cheap mirror. He reflects any light or shadow cast upon him. If provoked, he gets irritated. If praised, he disarms himself. He is predictable, and what is predictable is easily captured. By reacting emotionally, you reveal exactly where it hurts, what your limits are, and what throws you off balance. You become an open book written in large letters, and any mediocre person with a little malice will know how to turn its pages to their advantage. Cunning demands the chill of calculated indifference. While you expend energy trying to win an argument or begging for recognition, the strategist watches your loss of power with an invisible smile. He knows that every word you use to defend yourself is a crack in your armor. Power is not justified, power is merely imposed. When you relinquish the need To have the last word, you gain control of silence, and silence is the most terrifying tool for those who await your reaction. You've been weakening yourself by seeking acceptance when you should be focused on being respected, and respect doesn't come from transparency, but from the mystery surrounding your intentions. But that's only the surface. Now comes the part that changes everything, the strategic shift that transforms your passivity into an invisible offensive. This is where the game changes and the board tilts in your favor. The strategic turnaround doesn't come from a battle cry, but from the silence of someone who already knows the outcome before the contest even begins. To be dangerously cunning, you must embrace the duality that Machiavelli immortalized, the strength of the lion and the subtlety of the fox. The lion cannot avoid the traps, and the fox cannot defend itself from the wolves alone. You need to be both. While the mediocre display their claws out of pride, you hide yours for strategy. From now on, your new posture is one of intentional invisibility. If people can't read your intentions, they can't build defenses against you. When you speak, say what they expect to hear, but when you act exclusively according to what you need to achieve. Turn your words into a smokescreen. Be the ice that shatters underfoot for those who walk carelessly, maintaining a smooth and deceptive surface while the depth is lethal. The sovereign does not seek to be loved if it costs him respect. He prefers to be feared with silent admiration. He knows that gratitude is a burden people quickly discard, but interest and fear are the anchors that keep them loyal. Now you have the advantage. You are no longer playing by their rules. You are creating your own. You have learned to wear the mask, to manipulate time, and to control space. You have gone from being the target to becoming the architect of the situation. But there's a deeper layer. Without understanding the inner root of your own fragility, your mask will fall at the first sign of pressure. Now I'm going to show you what truly keeps you chained to mediocrity. The greatest enemy of your cunning is not out there, but seated on the throne of your own mind. It is your ego, that hungry voice that begs for applause and fears the judgment of those who are not worth the ground they walk on. Machiavelli and Schopenhauer, though from different centuries, agreed on a brutal point. Vanity is the shortest chain that binds a man to mediocrity. Vanity is the spy you keep inside your own fortress, ready to open the gates at the slightest sign of praise or criticism. As long as you need the world to confirm your greatness, you will be a slave to whoever holds the stamp of approval. The root of your weakness is the need to be seen as good, just, or superior. This makes you manipulable. Whoever knows your thirst knows exactly what poison to fill your cup with. The common man prefers to be destroyed by false praise than saved by a bitter truth. He wants the comfort of the herd. But the sovereign dwells in the abyss of his own soul and does not fear what he finds there. To become dangerously cunning, you must first murder the self that seeks validation. Without satisfying that need to be loved, your strategist mask will fall the moment someone wounds your pride. You will revert to being reactive, impulsive, and small-minded. True strategic intelligence requires a coldness that only exists when you become untouchable on the inside. You don't need anyone to know you're the smartest person in the room. In fact, the ultimate cunning is letting them think otherwise. The ego wants to shine, the mind wants to win, to choose which one you will feed. Now pay attention. If you don't tame the validation monster that lives within you, all the knowledge I've given you will remain just theory. But if you're ready to shed your old skin, you're ready for the final step. The game is about to end, and your new identity is about to emerge from the ashes. You entered here as a scattered fragment and leave as an architecture of power. From this moment on, the world is no longer something that happens to you. It is something you shape through your will and your silence. You have understood that cunning is not a dirty trick, but the highest form of self-mastery. While the mediocre masses continue to stumble over their own deficiencies, begging for crumbs of attention and reacting to every shadow, you remain untouchable at the center of your own mental empire. The mirror of reality no longer reflects a victim, but a strategist who has learned to love the abyss. Your new identity is forged in the ice of discipline and the fire of clear vision. You no longer seek the approval of fools, for the lion does not concern itself with the opinion of the sheep. Every interaction is now a move on your chessboard. Every word is a piece moved with intention. You are the architect of your own perception and the executioner of your own vanity. Remember, absolute power lies in the ability to be present without being noticed, to act without being predicted, and to win without needing applause. This is the burden and the glory of those who choose lucidity in a world of the blind. If you felt the weight of these words and are ready to leave the herd behind, this is your circle. Sign up to shield your mind and master the arts of strategy that most fear to name. If you are one of the rare few who have made it this far and accept the challenge of integrating your shadow, comment "Sovereign" below to seal your pact with your own greatness. The game has only just begun, and now the cards are in your hands.